We all love that first punch of caffeine in the morning. The way coffee smells, the way it tastes, it's just something about the meditative process of making coffee in the first place that feels great. Coffee is the go-to beverage for most people around the world. It helps us be more awake, alert, and focused. It increases our energy and gets our day going. But is coffee good or bad for us? Hello there. Today we're going to talk about coffee. You're going to see the pros and cons of coffee, and you're going to outweigh the benefits or negative side effects depending on how you use or misuse coffee and caffeine to decide whether coffee is good or bad for you. Okay, so first things first, what's coffee? We all know what's coffee. It's the brown beverage you get when you pour hot water over grinded coffee beans, right? Now these beans are more like seeds that come from the coffea plant. These are little fruit seeds, cherry-like, that have red to purplish color, are very potent in antioxidants. We have different seeds like Arabica, Robusta, Liberica, and Excelsa. Hope I pronounced that right. Next thing is what's caffeine. Caffeine is one of the most popular and potent natural stimulants for the nervous system. It gets your heart rate up, it gets your blood pressure up, it gets you focused, concentrated, and alert. It stimulates the sympathetic nervous system. Caffeine presence. Caffeine isn't just a coffee thing. Caffeine is almost everywhere. You can even find it in some facial creams. Caffeine is present in different dark chocolate and chocolate bars. It's in pre-workout supplements, in colas, guarana, matcha, soda, black, white, or green tea, basically everywhere. Coffee has a long history of use. Matter of fact, coffee was firstly discovered by Africans who chew on coffee beans. After the noticed effect, coffee spread worldwide from the Mediterranean upwards. Nowadays, over 1 billion people worldwide drink coffee. Another impressive fact is that coffee is the second most frequently consumed beverage in the US. Because of its alertness promoting effects, caffeine has been added to tons of other products aside from coffee itself. Most of the chocolate bars and energy drinks you'll find will have a good amount of caffeine too. Coffee origination. Where does coffee come from? Well, it's everywhere in the world, but it has to come from somewhere, right? Coffee originates from Ethiopia and Kenya. Did you know this? This whole Ethiopian legend about the goat herder Kali who took his goats on a ride, and they ate a couple of these berries on the coffea plant tree, and they were just like, IQ over 200, energetic as hell, etc. No. They just couldn't fall asleep, so he thought, oh, maybe these little coffee fruits contain something that can stimulate cognitive function. And as we've said in the intro, Africans chew on coffee beans, and the effect was soon discovered as a really potent natural nootropic, and it spread around worldwide. There are two types of main coffee beans you should know about, and this is your Robusta and Arabica. Robusta takes around 20 to 30% of the whole coffee market share, and Arabica is the main one, which you'll find in almost any coffee shop. In most coffees, that takes around 70+% of the whole market. Most potent uses of caffeine: antioxidants? No, it's very simple. It's a pick-me-up in the morning. It's the thing that you get to get your day started, to get the boost and elevation in cognitive function, alertness, to mask fatigue, to increase your focus, memory, etc. A few fun facts about coffee. Americans drink around 400 million cups of coffee a day. There are 24,000 coffee shops in the US, and the average price for a cup of coffee sits at around $3.93. So how does caffeine work? I'm going to keep it very simple. Caffeine is a natural and potent stimulant of your nervous system. This means it activates the sympathetic nervous system, so when you have coffee and caffeine with it, your heart rate's going to go up, blood pressure's going to go up, you're going to have better mental alertness and focus and cognition, and overall you're going to be more sharper, clearer, more energetic, right? How does this occur? When we're producing energy throughout the day, a compound known as adenosine, I think it looks something like this, goes onto the adenosine receptors in the brain. The more you work and the later in the day, the more adenosine that builds up in the brain. What happens? Adenosine tells you, hey, you're tired, go to sleep and replenish me. If you have coffee, The caffeine in coffee has a similar structure to adenosine, and instead of adenosine binding in those brain receptors for fatigue, caffeine binds first in these receptors, and what actually happens is, because of its similar structure, no more adenosine can go and bind to his receptor. So basically receptors are filled with caffeine and the fatigue is there, but it's masked, and you feel better, more alert, more vibrant, more sharp and energetic. A study done specifically on the caffeine effect on mood, alertness and focus shows that this stimulant has potent cognitive supportive benefits which can promote alertness and focus. In 95 healthy adults, caffeine administrations facilitated cognitive task and memory recall in users that had moderate to high amounts of caffeine, such as 200 milligrams. At doses of up to 300 milligrams of caffeine, caffeine was potent in improving alertness and cognitive function. Effective doses for physical performance are higher at around 200 to 500 milligrams than effective doses for cognitive enhancements, which start at 40 up to 300 milligrams. Why is coffee considered to be very healthy, and is coffee associated to people who live longer? Very simple, because of its antioxidant potency and capacity. What antioxidants do, they fight oxidative stress in the body. We have reduced inflammation and reduced DNA damage and reduced oxidative stress, so we can live longer and create a healthier environment for our body. This isn't to say that coffee is richer in antioxidants than maca or matcha or blueberries or resveratrol, etc., but it is to say that coffee, as one of the primary sources of antioxidants that is frequently a part of most people's diets, it's one of the most highly consumed antioxidants people frequently use. It is very interesting that when comparing coffee to green tea, red wine, and cocoa, there were no significant differences in the antioxidant status and total antioxidant content, which puts coffee on the scale of antioxidant-rich foods. A fun fact: highest total antioxidant content was found in Robusta roasted coffee beans originating from Bali and green and roasted Robusta coffee beans originating from Uganda. Can coffee increase exercise performance? Can it improve athletic performance? Well, I have quite a good article written on this with a lot of studies, so we're going to take a little sneak peek into that. When it comes to coffee's improving exercise performance abilities, there's a lot of research backing it up. Coffee may improve stamina, it may improve exercise performance, it may improve endurance and long-lasting activities, and even increase aerobic performance, so to improve these short bursts of high-intensity activity. It increases catecholamines, which have stimulatory effects, raising blood flow in the muscles. It also shows potential in improving energy by increasing catecholamines as well, and it fights fatigue, and it may improve time to exhaustion. Coffee is also a natural painkiller, which may help reduce pain by modulating adenosine receptors involved in nociception. Basically a natural painkiller. Now something about the negative side effects of caffeine. These aren't your shakiness and jitteriness per se. So there are different people who have certain genes and enzymes that are differently good in the way that you're going to metabolize, absorb, and digest caffeine. Some people can break caffeine very fast and others cannot. Some people will experience shakiness, jitteriness, and energy crash. Some people will be hyper-stimulated, hyper-excitability. Then others will have a very high spike in blood pressure, blood sugar, high heart rate, etc. If you have some of these problems, you might want to consider adding L-theanine, so you smoothen out that effect of energy boost and you don't get a large spike and drop. Or you can try matcha tea, which has a good combination of lower caffeine and higher L-theanine. When quitting caffeine or not getting your daily dose of caffeine, withdrawal symptoms will show up. These are your dehydration, which causes nausea. These are your headaches. These are increased blood pressure, fatigue, etc. We all know what I'm talking about. Also, coffee is a mild diuretic. This means it's a type of drug which will stimulate the excretion of fluids. Now, when does this become a problem of dehydration? This becomes a problem when you have very small cups of coffee with a lot of caffeine in it, so like a powerful short espresso shot which doesn't have the liquids in it to replace what you're gonna excrete. Pro tip here: to stay well hydrated, get a large cup of water, a large glass of water along with your coffee. But also, if you're having clean coffee with a lot of water, you're probably not going to get dehydrated because of the caffeine, because you're actually getting all of these liquids in with the coffee itself. The cause of drinking coffee is that it promotes very individual response. Some people who can't digest caffeine optimally are led to jittery and shaky energy or hyperexcitability, followed by an energy crash later on. The next con is that it is acutely addictive, meaning after quitting caffeine consumption, we need a few days to recycle back. These days are filled with headaches, fatigue, inability to concentrate, nausea, etc. About the detrimental effects of caffeine on sleep, caffeine has a half-life of 5 hours. Now this can go in an interval of 1.5 to 9.5 hours actually. It depends on the way you're going to break down and metabolize caffeine. Some people are better, some people are slower. It's going to depend on the strength and density of that coffee, on the amount of caffeine, etc. But the general rule of thumb, it's going to be caffeine's half-life is around 5 hours. Now that means it's going to take 5 hours for you to completely excrete half of the caffeine you got. And then it's going to take another 5 hours to excrete the other half, approximately. So what does this mean for you? If you want a good sleep, non-disrupted sleep, you're going to want to limit and stop your caffeine intake somewhere around 10 hours before you go to bed. This also means dropping any other beverages or foods that have a lot of caffeine in it. These are your pre-workouts, your chocolates, your colas, your sodas, your green, white, or black tea. You're going to want to limit that up. Now most people are going to do fine with 1 to 2 cups of coffee a day. So if you're really serious about your caffeine intake, you better calculate what are the foods that you're eating and how much caffeine is there, so that you don't eat a lot of chocolates and pre-workouts and colas and sodas later in the night, so that you disturb your sleep, have shallow sleep, wake up more, and miss out on all the benefits that sleep has to offer. An article posted in the Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine shows that 400 milligrams of caffeine taken 0, 3, or even 6 hours prior to bedtime significantly disrupts sleep. Even at 6 hours, caffeine reduced sleep by more than 1 hour. So to conclude, the bullet point is that caffeine can be both good and bad for you. If you properly use caffeine in terms of frequency, timing, and intensity, coffee and caffeine can help you stay alert, mentally clear, and sharp. It can reduce inflammation and fight oxidative stress. It probably is going to have a longevity promoting effect. It can improve cognitive function, exercise performance, potentially even mood and memory. On the other hand, if you misuse caffeine and you get too much of it, you're going to disrupt your sleep, miss out on all the benefits of sleep. You can be very shaky, jittery. You can get very crashy type of energy where you go up explosive and then your blood sugar and pressure drops down. You can be dehydrated if you're taking too much caffeine with little liquids. That's going to cause headaches, nausea, fatigue, etc., etc. So if you're properly using your caffeine, you're out for good. But if you're misusing caffeine and having way too much of it, you might going to want to consider cutting it down, especially around 10 hours before sleep. That's it for this video. Thank you. And you can also find this great infographic. If you go to my website, just type caffeine, pick the first article, scroll down a little bit. This is an infographic with caffeine's main uses, benefits, origin and history, how does caffeine work, what is caffeine. So it's basically like a synthesis of all that I'm speaking about in this video, just in one nice picture. So if you want to, print that out in your house, just watch it, collect it, have it there to remember what caffeine is used and beneficial for, you're welcome. Go to vitalsen.com, type caffeine and search first article. I'm going to leave also the link down in the description below. Thanks for watching.